Pardon Me, Book 1, Part 8, The Diamond and Coal Series. The church was packed, the pews filled with family, friends, and others whose lives Casey had touched. The sanctuary, adorned with white lilies and soft candlelight, exuded an atmosphere of reverence and solemnity. A framed portrait of Casey stood at the front, her radiant smile reminding everyone of the light she had brought into the world. The service had already been deeply moving. Tributes were shared, hymns were sung, and tears flowed freely. As the preacher stepped up to the pulpit, the room fell into a hush, the weight of expectation heavy in the air. He was an older man with a commanding presence, his voice both soothing and powerful. "We are here to honor the life of Sister Casey," he began, his tone steady and resolute. "But we are also here to reflect on our lives, our choices, and our walk with the Lord." The preacher's sermon was rooted in St. Matthew chapter 6, focusing on trust in God, obedience to His will, and the vital importance of forgiveness. His words were delivered with passion, each one striking the hearts of those listening. "For if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you," he quoted, his voice rising with conviction. "But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses." The room seemed to hold its collective breath as he continued. "Holding on to grudges is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. It eats away at your peace, your joy, your relationship with God. And for what? Pride, ego, sisters and brothers, don't let your hearts be hardened by unforgiveness. Life is too short, and eternity is too long to hold on to bitterness." Aubrey, seated near the middle of the church, shifted uncomfortably. She stole a glance at Diamond, who was sitting a few seats away with Cole. Diamond's expression was hard to read, but Aubrey noticed the way her jaw tightened and her hands clasped together tightly in her lap. The preacher's voice softened, taking on a gentler tone. Casey knew this. She lived her life in service to others, reflecting God's love and forgiveness. She didn't just talk about it, she did it. And that's why we're all here today, celebrating her legacy, because she chose love over bitterness, forgiveness over resentment, faith over fear. Aubrey felt a lump rising in her throat. She thought about all the times she had clung to her petty grievances, refusing to let them go. She thought about her unborn twins, the family she and Devin were building, and the example she wanted to set for her children. Was this the kind of person she wanted to be? Diamond, too, was lost in thought. The preacher's words cut through her defenses, forcing her to confront the weight of her pride. She remembered all the years of tension, the snide remarks, the refusal to extend even a sliver of grace. And for what? She couldn't even remember how it had all started. The preacher paused, scanning the congregation with a piercing gaze. "If there's someone in your life you need to forgive, don't wait. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. Make peace today. Honor God, honor Casey, and honor the life you've been given by choosing forgiveness." As the congregation bowed their heads for the closing prayer, Aubrey and Diamond exchanged glances. It wasn't much, a fleeting look, but it was enough to convey the shared weight of conviction. When the service ended and the congregation began to file out, the two women lingered for a moment, their eyes meeting once more. For the first time in years, there was no hostility between them, only the quiet understanding that something needed to change. It wasn't a reconciliation, not yet, but it was a start. And as they walked out of the church, side by side with their husbands, both women felt the first stirrings of peace in their hearts. After the service, the group gathered outside the church beneath the sprawling oak trees that lined the property. The crisp afternoon air carried the scent of fresh-cut grass and blooming flowers, a reminder of life's fleeting beauty. The crowd from the funeral slowly dispersed, but Devin, Cole, Aubrey, and Diamond lingered together, their thoughts heavy and their hearts full. For a while, no one spoke. The silence wasn't uncomfortable, but reflective, as if each of them needed the space to process the emotional weight of the day. Devin stood with his hands in his pockets, his gaze fixed on the horizon. Cole leaned against the trunk of a tree, arms crossed, his head bowed slightly. Aubrey and Diamond stood a few feet apart, avoiding each other's eyes, but sharing the same contemplative stillness. Finally, it was Diamond who broke the silence. Her voice was soft, yet tinged with a surprising vulnerability. You know, she said, glancing at Aubrey, Casey would have hated us beefing all these years. Aubrey looked at her, startled by the sudden admission. Her lips parted as if to respond, but she hesitated, unsure of what to say. Diamond continued, a faint smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. She was always about love and kindness, about lifting people up. And here we are, holding on to, what? We don't even remember why this started. Aubrey's shoulders relaxed as she let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. She nodded slowly, her expression softening. Yeah, she said, almost in a whisper. It's stupid, isn't it? All this time, and I can't even tell you what we were fighting about. Devin exchanged a quick, hopeful glance with Cole, who raised an eyebrow as if to say, Is this really happening? Diamond looked down at her hands, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her blouse. I think, maybe it's time to let it go. I apologize for everything that's happened between us, she said, her voice steady but quiet. Aubrey hesitated for only a moment before giving a small, resolute nod. Yeah, me too, I'm sorry. We don't have to hug, right? Asked Diamond. No, but we're good, smiled Aubrey. The two women locked eyes, and for the first time in years, there was no animosity between them, only a tentative understanding. Devin broke into a relieved smile, clapping his hands together. Well, I think Casey would be proud of you both right now. Cole nodded in agreement, his tone lighter but sincere. About time, y'all. Seriously. You're about to be family in more ways than one. Aubrey smirked, folding her arms. Don't push it, Coco. The group laughed, the sound breaking the last remnants of tension. As they began walking toward their cars, there was a newfound ease among them, a sense that something had shifted, however subtly. For Diamond and Aubrey, it wasn't an instant transformation. There was still history to unravel, wounds to mend, and trust to rebuild. But for the first time in years, they weren't enemies. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed. If you want to hear more from this series, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below.